There are several issues that have been raised. First of all, representation of women, especially in counties. And then I'll come to you, Korir, on the issue of idle land in terms of public and community land. Go ahead, Mola.
Okay, first I'll make a comment on the issue of IDPs. Lumumba had already done so, but I'll add that one, the best protection that any proposed constitution can give to IDPs is a mechanism and an assurance that one can go back to that land where they came from. And that is what the proposed constitution seeks to do. Whether you have title to that land or not, the only issue is, did you acquire it lawfully? And with that, Article 40 is very clear, the protection of title and security of land. Article 60 is very clear that this constitution wants to ensure that your title deed means something. And Article 43 also comes in, that you have a basic right to housing. As an IDP, you are basically without a proper house. And that is why Article 43 comes in. And lastly, Article 40 also comes in terms of compensation. If anybody causes you to lose your land or property or a house such, in that manner, and the government has the obligation to protect you, representation at the county level. First, the principles espoused in this constitution is that eventually we want to see a situation where for all elective and appointive offices, no more than 2/3 of any one gender dominated. And that's a general principle. And that general principle applies to the national government and the county government as well. But specifically for the county government, provision has been made such that as you will be electing your councillors, all the councillors elected from all the wards, once they're elected, the electoral body will then be able to do a head count, how many men, how many women have been elected. And to the extent that we want at least 1/3 of those in the county assembly to be either men or women, then there will be a sufficient number of seats allocated to the political parties, depending on the number of seats they have captured, so that at the end of the day, at least 1/3 of that county assembly shall be either women or men, if many more women were elected.
All right.
Yes.
We're going to leave it there for a moment, members of the panel, but we will return in a few minutes where you will address the issues raised from members of the audience. Remember, we are live here at the Bontana Hall in Nakuru, where tonight members of the public from the Central and Rift Valley have a platform to air their views and concerns on the draft constitution. Tonight, the voice of the South and Central Rift Valley. Well, we're hearing a lot of issues about representation, marginalization, land issues, representation, all coming out of here in the South and Central Rift. Remember, you can also participate in this program by sending in your comments to 8040 to participate in tonight's show. We'll go straight to comments from the audience. Your comment, please, at the back.
Thank you very much. My comment is that any crimes against humanity should never, ever be given immunity anytime in the history of this republic. Number two, this TJRC should be given teeth to bite. And number three is that health and human rights should be made a core value in this country. Number four is that all international conventions that Kenya has signed, like the one of the ICC, should never be wished away. Let people learn a lesson regardless of their status in the society. Thank you very much.
All right. At the back.
Thank you. I'm Ronald. And my issue is with the illiteracy among the population in Kenya.
Speak into your mic, please. Yes.
I'm saying the problem in Kenya is about the illiteracy. There is 90%, 80% outside there, you find that they're illiterate. 20% are illiterate. But when you go outside there, our MPs, they go outside there, they go and tell the people about dogs that are going to be put in good houses, gayism. This is the thing. Let's argue with big facts, land. Thank you.
Thank you. Your comment, please, the lady here.
Langu silo comment, lakini ni swali kuhusu marginalization. Watu marginalized ni wale minority. So ukiona watu minority, resources asijewafikia, resources mingi kama education, infrastructure, water. Watu wata make sure aje wame-implement hizo resources, hizo vitu vyote alafu iwafikie. Asante.
Hi. At the back there, your comment, please.
Thank you very much. My name's Maina Jonah. I'm concerned about the land issues, marginalization, and the environment, which, of course, it is under land issues. My concern is, much as I appreciate this draft, I'm concerned about the time specification. We don't know what will happen. We understand when you can see land issues, environment, and other issues are given about 5 years.
Speaking to the mic.
5 years. We wonder what will happen if our parliamentarians do not keep to this commitment. The constitution is silent. Thank you.
Okay. At the back there?
Yes. My name's Tom Kisiero. I have a problem with the land issue.
Speaking to your mic.
My problem is with the taxation of the land. We want to know whether the NOCAMP has been saying that we will be taxed even where we are going to build our houses.
Speaking to your mic.
So we want to know whether it is true or they are just propagating this issue.
Okay, we didn't hear your question. What was your question?
My question was about taxation to the land.
Okay, land taxation. Thank you. There was a comment here.
Okay, jina langu naitwa Sigei na swali ambao niko naye ni kuhusu governance, especially katika mashinani mahali pale. Tunaelewa katika katiba ya kwamba existence ya chief, assistant chiefs, DO na DC na PC haiko. Na tunaelewa ya kwamba hao ndio wana deal na issues za domestic problems na ambazo na incitement, vitu kama hizo ambazo wanaita baraza and then wanaisolve hizo problems. Sasa swali yangu ni kwamba ni mikakati gani ambao mmeweka katika hii katiba, watu ambao watachukua nafasi ya watu ambao walikuwa wanafanya kazi ya in public relation, yani kati ya serikali ya chini na ya juu. Na hiyo swali nauliza ya kwamba who will take their place of the DO, the chiefs and the PC, and how competitive are they in terms of public relation?
Okay, thank you. Corrida, I'm going to come to you straight to the issue of idle land, as was asked before we went into the break. The issue of public versus community land.
Thank you. One, there is nothing like idle land being addressed in this constitution. There is no discussion about idle land, okay? Very clearly, the constitution provides in Article 63 what community land is. And essentially, community land is one, land that is currently held as trust land. And that is in a lot of areas occupied by pastoral communities. In Narok, in Pokot, in other areas, that's what community land is. Areas occupied by hunter-gatherers as ancestral land is another area that is also called community land. So there is, the Constitution provides very clearly what constitutes community land. And public land, on the other hand, is really the land that is currently called government land, mainly government forests. We're talking about land that is currently, that has natural resources like minerals, et cetera, et cetera. So that's what public land is all about. Let me address the question of inheritance. Inheritance is something that will be dealt with by an act of parliament. Article 68 provides that parliament will enact a legislation that deals with issues of inheritance and the rights of dependents among others. And then lastly, let me address the question of marginalization. Now, the spirit of this constitution is very clear, that minorities, no matter where they are, will be protected and their rights will be promoted.
Perhaps the question from the lady was, if minority groups are already marginalized as it is, how will they ensure that there is implementation after the draft is passed, if it is passed?
Well, clearly, what I do see here is that the Constitution, for example, provides for the creation of the Equalization Fund. And it provides that there will be 0.5% of national revenue targeting minorities among others. The point about the current marginalization of minorities, notwithstanding, because the Constitution provides that, the proposed Constitution provides that Parliament within 5 years is going to put up a law that will deal with the whole question of minorities explicitly. So there is a very clear time frame within which Parliament is actually supposed to explicitly address the challenges of minorities currently.
All right, thank you. Lumumba, we'll come to you to the question of taxation of land, which is a rather big concern here as well.
Basically, I would say that there's nothing new about land taxation in this constitution. However, what we must know that we normally pay taxes for the services rendered. In the municipal councils and cities, we pay for the services in terms of land rates. The other thing that people normally pay, which is not tax, and some people think is tax, is rents, which you normally pay because you're a tenant, and therefore you owe to the landlord in return for the tenancy. So we are not seeing any new taxation being introduced. What we are basically seeing is a disincentive that you are not going to have land for speculative purposes. You must have land for productive usage, and that if the government gives you land to use it for a specific thing, then the government will be taxing you for what you intended to do with the land. It's not for you to hoard.